Okay, I have 10 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you everybody for attending today's presentation. My name is Stacy Littlefield. I am a master herbalist and the lead product formulator for Red Remedies. And today I'm going to be talking about respiratory health and things that we can do to strengthen our respiratory health. But before I kind of dive into the material, I did want to mention a few things that we have going on in our booth, in our Red Remedies booth. So we have 3 giveaways. The first one is a year supply of immune products from Red Remedies. We also are giving away our holistic medicine cabinet that includes, some throat drops and our lung care product and some immune products. And we're also giving away a Red Remedies sample pack, which includes a variety of products. And we have some deals today. Our deal for the Nourish Fest is 2 products for 25% off. So I just wanted to mention those really quick. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on my presentation. So Red Remedies is all about relationships. We like to know about our customers, and we want you guys to know a little bit about us. So I just wanted to give a little background into our story. So our founder and CEO is Dan Chapman, and he grew up in the health food industry. His parents opened a health food store in the 1960s, I believe 1961, called Sunrise Health Foods, and it's down here. And they're in, the Chicago suburbs, and also has a location in Northwest Indiana and a little further south in Peoria, Illinois. So this is our Lansing location. So he kind of grew up in this industry, and his parents started the store because she had a need for eating clean foods. And the best way to do that was to at the time, was to open their own health food store. So as I said, Dan grew up in this industry. He grew up working the floor. He loves helping customers. And that's really what brought him to create Red Remedies. So red, the word red means to put in order. And that's what we do with our products and with our company. We help you put your health back into order. All of our formulations are created with synergy between modern science and ancient and traditional herbal medicine. So we blend the two together. There is absolutely value in both. And there are a few things that matter to us as a company. First and foremost, results matter. That's me. I lead the formulation process for Red Remedies. And I'm really passionate about creating formulas that address core issues and bring you guys results and answers. So we look at what's going on in the body. We look to create formulas that nourish, support, and balance. We are not into pushing or shoving or stimulating systems. We strive to create harmony between all the systems in the body. And purity matters to us. We have a very extensive purity program. You can go to our website and read more about our purity promise. There's a white paper there if you really want to get into the nitty gritty of what we do and why. But we do test for, almost 500 different pesticide residues, including glyphosate. In AMPA, we test for heavy metals. We test for adulterants. That's a big issue in the botanical supply chain. So we test for those potentially adulterated raw materials because we don't want those in our products. So you can read more about the Purity Matters, Purity Promise on our website. And then, of course, Family Matters. We are, after all, a family-owned company. And I can attest to the fact that our company here of these people really does feel like a family. We want to help you live better lives. We want to help you feel better. So, we are committed to, helping to create products that really work for you guys. So let's get into the respiratory system. So before I kind of dive into ingredients and stuff, I just want to talk about that body system. So I think when a lot of people think about the respiratory system, we think about lungs. But our respiratory systems are so much more than that. They include your mouth, your nose, your throat, which is your pharynx, your larynx or your voice box, your trachea, which is, here, the tube that kind of leads down from your mouth and nose and into your lungs. They include, of course, the lungs themselves, the bronchi, which are the large branches that spread out into the lungs, and then even the bronchioles, which are the smaller branches that spread out even more. And those bronchioles end in your alveoli, which are your air sacs. And that's where the gas exchange between oxygen and carbon dioxide occurs. The cilia, or the mucous membrane, our mucous membranes in the sinuses and in the lungs have this kind of carpet-like layer of cilia, and they move in waves. And those cilia are really important to filtering things out that we are breathing in every time we take a breath. So the health of that epithelial lining, that mucous membrane, is really important to respiratory health. Your diaphragm is a part of your respiratory system. That's the muscle that helps your lungs inflate and deflate. So we need to be mindful of the health of our musculoskeletal system. And then capillaries. The capillaries are really important to respiratory function because that's how oxygen is being delivered to the rest of your body, and that is how carbon dioxide is being expelled through exhalation. So we need to be mindful of all of these parts of the respiratory system, not just your lung tissue. If we look at the functions of the respiratory system, of course, breathing, that's what it's doing. We're inhaling and we're exhaling. It also is absorbing oxygen and other gases. Air isn't just oxygen, it's nitrogen. There are other gases that are being absorbed besides oxygen. Your respiratory system is responsible for talking and smelling. Our mouths and noses are parts of our respiratory system. The respiratory system also makes sure that the air that we breathe in gets to our body temperature. That's really important. It's also important that the air that we breathe in becomes moisturized to body humidity. So our lungs do that for us. Of course, the respiratory system is delivering oxygen to the cells of the body. Every single cell in your body needs oxygen. And that's, the key importance of the respiratory system. And then, of course, it is protecting not just our airways, but the rest of our bodies from all of the harmful substances and irritants that we breathe in on a daily basis. So, given that we formulate products from a holistic perspective, we don't view any system in isolation because no body system functions in a vacuum. And so there are really important body systems that are connected to your respiratory systems. First and foremost, your circulatory system. Your veins and your arteries are carrying oxygen away from the lungs and bringing carbon dioxide back into the lungs to get it out of the body. Your cardiovascular system is the pump for the circulatory system. It is directly connected to your respiratory system. So cardiovascular health will affect your respiratory health and vice versa. As I mentioned before, your musculoskeletal system is important to your respiratory system. Your ribs are protecting your lungs and your heart. The muscles, the diaphragm, the intercostal muscles between your ribs push air in and out of the body. And then, of course, the immune system. Your immune system is responsible for creating and managing healthy inflammatory responses and, of course, fighting infections and other pathogens that may enter the respiratory system. When we look at negative impacts on respiratory health, there are many, many different things that can negatively affect your respiratory health. Some of them are caused by inhalation of irritants in the air that we breathe. Think about the wildfires that are going on in the Western United States. It's not just trees that are burning, it's buildings, it's cars. All of those volatile organic compounds are in the air and in the smoke. So that can absolutely negatively affect our respiratory health. Some issues are caused by pathogens like bacteria and different types of viruses. Some are caused by inflammation, and these are really, progressive or chronic conditions like asthma and allergies, infection, of course, and other diseases that affect our respiratory systems. So we need to be mindful about all of these things that can occur to negatively affect our respiratory health. So when we look at ways in which we can strengthen our respiratory system, we need to support both the upper and the lower, the sinuses, the throat, and the lungs. It's all connected. So when you're looking at different formulas for respiratory health, whether they're sinus formulas or lung formulas, you want to see support for both parts in a single formula. You absolutely have to support the health of your immune system and the other connected systems. And varied approaches are needed for different situations. You're not going to use the same ingredients for, asthma that you would for, toxic, residues that we're going to breathe in necessarily. You're not going to use the same herbs for a runny nose that you are going to use for severe congestion. And I apologize if I'm looking at my phone while I'm talking. There is a tech on here, and I just want to make sure there's no issues. So I'll apologize in advance for that. So you want to see varied approaches for different situations. There is no one size fits all product for every respiratory issue. So I'm going to talk about our Red Remedies products, but I'm going to focus on ingredients and give you information on the individual ingredients so that, you're armed with that information. So the first product I'm going to talk about is lung care. And this is our support for the lower respiratory system. Not just the lungs, it's more than just lung support, but this is focused on the lower respiratory system. And we build this formula on foundational nutrients. We assume that everybody takes a good multivitamin mineral. If you're not, you should. So these are all in addition to what you're getting in your multi. But some foundational nutrients that are really important for your lower respiratory system are vitamin C and vitamin B6. Vitamin C is the most abundant antioxidant that's found in your airways, and it's the first line of protection for the respiratory system. A lot of these irritants that we breathe in, a lot of these toxins we breathe in cause free radical damage, and the lining of our respiratory systems are really susceptible to that free radical damage. So we want lots of antioxidants, in particular vitamin C. So when we look at respiratory infections, that is the first nutrient to go. And these viruses like the common cold and the flu and some bacterial issues, they actually disrupt our vitamin C metabolism so that we have less protection in our respiratory systems. So we need to put that vitamin back. We also include some vitamin B6, specifically for individuals dealing with asthma. It has direct benefits for those individuals. There are a lot of first generation medications for asthma that actually deplete the body of vitamin B6. So we also want to put that vitamin back. And then, of course, magnesium. If you take a look at our product line, you'll see magnesium pop up in a lot of different formulas. And one of the reasons for that is because half of Americans do not meet the RDI for magnesium. And it's not a huge RDI. It's about 400 milligrams a day. And that's because our food is stripped of nutrients. Green leafy vegetables are high in magnesium. Whole grains are high in magnesium. But if you're eating a lot of processed foods, if you live in an area where you don't have access to fresh foods, you're missing out on some of those crucial minerals, one of them being magnesium. Now, magnesium is necessary for muscle relaxation. We know that asthmatics, when we look at observational studies, they tend to be lower in magnesium than healthy adults. And magnesium is beneficial to heart health. So it's going to support not just the muscles of our respiratory system, but also that connected system of the cardiovascular system and support heart health. Then we use lots of botanicals in lung care. Me being a master herbalist, I love plants, I love botanicals. You're going to see them in pretty much every product that we have. The botanicals that we chose for lung care are a blend of Ayurvedic and traditional Chinese botanicals. Ayurveda has a lot of plants that they use to help promote breathing capacity, which is just the ability to take in a deep breath and exhale a full breath. And one of those botanicals that we use is called Adhatoda Vasica. The common name for that herb is Malabar nut extract. Now, just a note, this formula does not contain nuts. We have to call it that because that is the accepted name of this plant by FDA. So that's what we have to call it on our label. So this plant, Vasica, is traditionally used for lots of different respiratory disorders. Coughs, colds, asthma, bronchitis. They use it for a wide range of things in both adults and children. It's been shown to have anti-inflammatory properties. It's bronchodilatory, so it opens up your bronchial tubes, and it is antibacterial, so it has a lot of those properties. It's also antitussive, which means it helps to control a cough. We cough for a reason. We don't want to shut that down. We want it to be productive. So if you've got phlegm building up in the lower respiratory system, we want you to be able to get that out. The other Ayurvedic herb we use is Tylophora asthmatica, the commonly known as Indian ipecac. So again, traditionally used for respiratory conditions, one of them being asthma. It is anti-allergy. It has some expectorant action. This is also going to open up the airways. It increases oxygen diffusion in the lungs, and it reduces congestion in the nasal passages. All of those things together just create a blend that just helps you breathe better. That's what this product is for. It's to help you breathe better. The other supportive respiratory herbs we use are Zhejiang fritillary, which is this white flower up here. We use the root of the plant. That is a traditional Chinese botanical, and they use it to reduce phlegm and to help control a cough. And it is often blended with ginger root. Now, I think everyone's familiar with ginger root for its anti-inflammatory properties. It is in here because it's a hot herb. It's a warming herb because when you have an overproduction of phlegm, it's considered excess dampness. So they use herbs that are hot to dry the dampness. So you're going to often find that combined with Vasica or combined with fritillary, and it's really to control phlegm and mucus production in the lower respiratory system. And then we're using good old mullein. I love mullein. It's one of my favorite botanicals, commonly used in European herbalism and here in North America with the eclectics and indigenous medicine here in North America. It is demulcent and expectorant. It relieves irritation in that mucosal membrane of our respiratory systems. So that is also an added benefit to decrease irritation. The more irritation you have in your mucous membrane, the more mucus you're going to produce and the more inflammation that's going to occur. And then finally, we have some immune and stress support, which is really important in a product that is designed to help you breathe better because chronic stress makes respiratory issues worse. Chronic stress makes your muscles tight. Your bronchial tubes are muscular tubes. They will tighten, they will narrow. That makes it harder to breathe. So we need to open those airways up. Chronic stress also increases inflammation. Inflammation makes it harder to breathe. So we need to get inflammation back in a healthy pathway instead of being chronic and kind of, exploding everywhere. So reishi mushroom is one of my favorite ingredients. It is an adaptogen herb, and adaptogens help your brain and body deal with stress and adapt to different stress. It is immune system balancing. That's important. We don't want to add stimulants, immune stimulants, to a formula like this, because some people's breathing issues are caused by allergic reactions. Allergic reactions are an out of control immune response. So we want to help bring that immune response back into balance. Reishi is also a cardioprotective. It has fantastic benefits for heart health and the vascular system. It supports the integrity of the epithelium of the respiratory tract. It helps keep that carpet of cilia nice and healthy so that they're not lying flat, so that they're waving and grabbing all of the particulates that we breathe in, grabbing maybe some bacteria that we've breathed in, some pollen, anything that doesn't belong. That carpet of cilia is grabbing, and then your immune system comes behind it and eats it, and gets it out of the body. And reishi, while traditionally used for lots of respiratory issues, also has a really significant amount of clinical research for different respiratory issues. So we absolutely have some reishi in the formula. So just a quick overview for lung care. This formula is appropriate for children and adults. Children take 2 capsules a day. Adults take 4 capsules a day. The capsules are very small, but if your child cannot swallow capsules, you can open that capsule up. The perfect thing to put this capsule in is honey, manuka honey, buckwheat honey, one of the darker honeys. Those are really good for your respiratory system. This can be used for long or short-term use. So you can take it daily if you have ongoing respiratory issues, or you can take it when you need it, during the wildfires out in the West, while you are, dealing with, a cold or something. You can use it in that way also. Great for breathing problems. Again, this product is designed to help you breathe better. All of these ingredients help you breathe better. Great for I'm here in Northwest Indiana. I live pretty close to steel mills, so sometimes you can smell it in the air. You can see the haze of all of that industrial pollution that's in our area. So whether you work or live in one, lung care is great for those situations. Or if ever you're in a situation of producing excess mucus or phlegm, lung care is also great for that application. All right, so now we're going to talk about allergies and sinus health. I like this little cartoon on my screen to kind of tell people what allergies are. As I said, it's an overactive immune response to something that is harmless. In this little cartoon up here, they see pollen, and then you've got one dude down here that's just going crazy. Pollen is harmless. It doesn't hurt us. If you have food allergies, that food isn't harmful. It doesn't hurt us. Your body doesn't recognize it that way, though. If you have an allergy to wheat or to milk, or an allergy to tree pollen, your immune system thinks it is the absolute worst thing in the world, and it freaks out. It starts to panic and create all of these inflammatory factors. So it's really an immune system problem, and your respiratory system is the victim. So if we look at it that way, the main support targets are the immune system, of course. That is the core issue. The respiratory system, like I said, that's the victim. That's where your symptoms are going to be displayed. And then your digestive system. The health of your digestive system is directly connected to the health of your immune system and the way that it functions. So if we're talking about allergies, you have got to do something to support your gut health. So you need a multi-pronged approach when we're talking about immune system function in allergies or allergic states. We want to normalize and balance the immune system, not stimulate. We want to normalize the release of inflammatory signals. We want to support the health of the digestive system. And then we want to provide supportive ingredients to prevent secondary respiratory issues, whether that is creating an environment that's going to harbor the growth of bacteria or fungus. We want to prevent those things from happening. Because as I said, even though your allergies are pretty much affecting all the sinus passages up here, it's one big mucous membrane, and there's this thing called gravity, and it's going to make things fall down into your lungs. So we need to support both parts. So we have adult and children's sinus support as our allergy formulas. I talk about them at the same time because they're basically the same formula. So the differences between them are few. So let's talk about our inflammatory signals. So these are mast cells, and this is a mast cell degranulating. It's releasing histamine and other inflammatory factors. We need to get that under control, but it's just not histamine. It's not just histamine. That's not the only thing that's causing inflammation. We also have these fatty hormone-like compounds called leukotrienes that also cause substantial inflammation. They do a much better job at causing inflammation than histamine does. And they do it in a different way. So things that control histamine will not necessarily control leukotrienes. You need a couple of different ingredients to get that done, to bring them both down to help, normal, manageable levels. So we use a blend of vitamin C and quercetin. Both of these ingredients are going to stabilize mast cells and modulate histamine levels. They lower your histamine levels by stabilizing those mast cells so that they don't explode. Vitamin C increases detoxification of histamine by the liver, while quercetin is going to target those leukotrienes. That's really important for people that have asthma because that's what's causing the inflammation in asthma. It's those leukotrienes. It's not necessarily histamine. So we have both of those ingredients to keep both of those inflammatory signals under control. We also add some bioflavonoids to adult sinus. Bioflavonoids have a synergistic effect with vitamin C. They actually help absorption of vitamin C, not in the gut, but by your cells. We want to get vitamin C into the cells. They also have their own anti-inflammatory action. Specific support for the upper respiratory system, we're using stinging nettle leaf. I love stinging nettle. It's a great anti-inflammatory, and it has a long historical use for respiratory problems, going all the way back to ancient Greece and ancient Rome. So they used it for, runny noses, stuffy noses, all types of breathing problems. And it is the leaf that you want to use for respiratory health, not the root. Those two parts do two different things. If you have prostate problems, take the root. If you have respiratory issues, you want the leaf. So we are using stinging nettle leaf. We also blend that with some bromelain. Bromelain is an enzyme from pineapple stems, and that is not only anti-inflammatory, it is also mucolytic. We want to keep those mucosal secretions in the sinuses thin, because once they get thick and nasty, now your sinuses are blocked, and we've got a totally different problem that requires totally different support. So we want to keep those mucosal secretions thin. And then also the lower respiratory system. As I said, we want to support the lower respiratory system because it's all connected. So for lower respiratory system, we have N-acetylcysteine along with bromelain. N-acetylcysteine is another wonderful mucolytic that's great for the lungs, and that's going to help stop congestion and the overproduction of phlegm down in the bronchial tubes. And then we have ivy leaf extract, which is one of my favorite botanicals for lower respiratory support. And for those of you who may not be familiar, this is the center field wall at Wrigley Field, which is covered in ivy. So English ivy, this is what we're using. Ivy leaf extract has been used in Europe for decades. It's actually a prescription drug. that they use in Europe for lots of respiratory issues. It is expectorant and antispasmodic, so it can help control a cough. It supports normal mucosal secretions in the bronchial tubes. And another ingredient that is reducing irritation to the mucous membranes, which is, as I said, really important to keep those finger-like cilia moving and grabbing things that we're breathing in. So go Cubbies. All right. And then gut immune connection. Your gut health is directly tied to the health of your immune system. And the way that we're supporting gut health in our adult and children's sinus is with barberry root. Barberry root is a bitter digestive tonic. So it's going to stimulate the production of digestive juices, which is going to help the overall process of digestion and maintain the health of the digestive system. Your digestive juices aren't just there to break down our food. They're also there to kill things that don't belong, that enter our body through our food. Hate to break it to you, all your food's got bacteria in it. No one eats sterile food. So we've got mechanisms to protect us from that. One of them is stomach acid. So we want to get those digestive juices flowing. The main constituent in barberry is berberine, but it is not the only constituent. Now, and this is important because isolated berberine it goes rogue. And isolated berberine kills everything good and bad. It needs those other compounds to keep it in check, to make sure it's not killing your probiotics and it's leaving all of that beneficial bacteria alone. So that is why we use a full spectrum galenic extract of barberry root and not isolated berberine. We're not fans of isolated berberine. You need those other alkaloids, to keep the buddy system going and keeping the berberine under control. So all of those alkaloids together have antimicrobial activity, and that's what we're looking for. We are looking to create space for your probiotics to move in and take over. Because if they see some nice real estate in your gut, they're going to move in and start colonizing. And that's what we need to do. We need to promote the health of the microbiome, because your probiotics help your immune system decide when it should and should not react to something. So they also help to reduce inflammatory mediators. So we're trying to create a nice environment for probiotics to flourish. So quick overview on adult and children's sinus. Adult sinus is a capsule, and you can take up to 10 a day if you need to. And there may be situations where you need to do that. If it's allergy season, if you have a really bad cold and your nose won't stop running, whatever the situation, you can take 2 capsules, up to 5 times throughout the day. Our children's sinus is a sugar-free chewable tablet. And you can go up to 4 a day or more. It really depends on how much vitamin C and xylitol your child can tolerate if you need to do that. Now, there is nothing in the adult sinus formula that a child cannot have. So if your child can swallow capsules, by all means, they can take the adult sinus. You're going to cut the dose in half. So instead of them taking 2, they would take 1. And vice versa. If you've got adults that cannot swallow capsules or tablets, are just sick of swallowing pills, that's me. I take children's sinus because it's just easier to chew something up than for me to take a bunch of pills. So you can flip-flop them. If an adult is taking children's sinus, you're going to double the dose. These products are very fast acting on symptoms. They need to be. If you're dealing with allergies, your eyes are burning, they're watering, your nose is running, that's so annoying. So we want to bring that back down. So we want these products to be fast acting on symptoms. You can use this for thin running mucus, whether that's allergy related or otherwise. If you've got thin watery mucus, then adult and children's sinus are appropriate for those issues. Safe for long-term use. So you can do a maintenance dose all the way through the spring, all the way through the fall. There's no issues with that. All right, the next topic I wanted to talk about is aromatherapy. Aromatherapy and essential oils absolutely have applications to the respiratory tract. I think that's where they make a lot of sense for people because it's aromatherapy, smelling, breathing. So essential oils definitely can have some beneficial impacts on respiratory health. So aromatherapy was kind of, that term was created by a French perfumer and chemist, René Maurice Gattefossé, in the 1930s. So using scented plants as medicines and perfumes is not a new thing. They've been used for thousands of years, but the way that they used them in, ancient Egypt or ancient Rome or some of these ancient cultures were not the way that we use essential oils now. So they weren't the same thing. They were probably really crude plant extracts. So they probably mashed up leaves and flowers in some type of fat to draw out those fragrant compounds from the plant. And of course, they also used these scented plants as incense. Frankincense, myrrh, sandalwood. Those are, some of the incense that were used historically. So this isn't a new concept per se, but it's become a very popular kind of niche of natural and alternative medicine. So I wanted to talk a little bit about it today. So what are essential oils? First of all, they're not oils. They're just oily substances. They're actually not fats or lipids. They're called terpenes, which are just oily in nature. So we call them essential oils. They are highly, highly concentrated plant fractions. So it takes a lot of plant to get a little bit of essential oil. They are volatile, fragrant principles of the plant. Now, when I say volatile, I mean that they break down quickly under the right conditions. They are not the most stable part of the plant fractions. So they're volatile compounds. And only about 5% of plant species create essential oils. So that's about 17,000 different plant species, give or take. And there are about 10 plant families that create the bulk of all the essential oils that we see out there. You've got the carrot family, the daisy family, cypress family, the laurel family, the mint family, of course, pine, grasses and bamboos. Some of those plants create essential oil fractions. And then, of course, the citrus family and the ginger family. So those 10 families are pretty much giving us all of the essential oils that are available to us in nature. So our olfactory systems, that's our sense of smell. The olfactory sense is unlike any other sense. It's different from the sense of touch. It's different from the sense of hearing because it is directly connected to the outside environment, which is then directly connected to our brains. So right here, these are the nerves of our olfactory systems that have a direct connection to our brains, to the limbic system or the emotional center of our brains. That's why certain aromas can bring about certain emotions in people. There's a direct connection. Because there's a direct connection, essential oils absolutely bring about physiological and psychological changes in people. So essential oils are a great way to bring about quick physiological change, particularly in the respiratory system. So we have some aromatherapy travel diffusers that we offer as partners to our lung care supplement and our adult sinus supplement. So we have our lung care travel diffuser, which is a blend of 4 whole essential oils, and that is key. We do not use isolates. Essential oils are complex mixtures. They are never one compound. Certain essential oil fractions can have 100 different compounds in them. So in an aromatherapy diffuser, you don't want to see ingredients like camphor. You don't want to see ingredients like menthol or limonene. Those are just singular compounds. You're not going to get the full effect of the essential oil. So we use whole essential oils. And in the lung care aromatherapy travel diffuser, we're using a blend of cypress and niaouli. So cypress obviously comes from the cypress tree, which is a part of the cypress family. It is antimicrobial, it is antioxidant, and it's also calming. That calming effect is really important in this lung care travel diffuser because people that are going to use this are actually thinking about their capacity to breathe. And that's not something that people who don't have breathing issues ever have to think about. We just breathe. We don't stress out about it because we just do it. But for people, like my son who has asthma, he has to think about it. Like, should I go outside and play today? It's 98 degrees with 100% humidity. Probably not. Is it allergy season? Do I need to carry my fast acting inhaler with me today? So we want some calming agents in there because if you're anxious and you're nervous, guess what? It's harder to breathe. So we want some calming agents in there, and cypress is one of those. Niaouli, which is over here, is a cousin to the tea tree. So it's going to have a lot of that same antiseptic action that tea tree oil has, but it's really good at clearing respiratory congestion, which tea tree is not so good at. So we use niaouli in there. We also have some sweet marjoram, which is in the background. Marjoram is in there for its expectorant and antispasmodic properties. And then red mandarin oil, again, is in there for calming, mood lifting. It's also great for stress. So we've got a lot of different things going on in this aromatherapy inhaler, but it's a great blend of essential oils for your lung health. Now, when you use this, you're going to breathe it in through your nose, but you're going to feel it fall into your chest. It's an odd sensation, but we want those vapors down in your chest. And that's another thing that red mandarin oil is doing. It's kind of pulling everything down. So that's a great blend of essential oils for lung function. And then we offer an aromatherapy inhaler for sinuses. So this is our sinus support travel diffuser. And we have a blend of 5 or 6 different essential oils in here, which I will go through. So we, of course, have eucalyptus oil. I think everyone's pretty familiar with eucalyptus oil for respiratory issues. And the main compound in eucalyptus oil is this 1,8-cineol. So 1,8-cineol is anti-inflammatory, it's antibacterial, it's antifungal, it reduces mucus production. There's also a little bit of menthol in eucalyptus oil. However, menthol is analgesic. All menthol does is numb. That's all it does. It's not antimicrobial. It's not anti-inflammatory. It just stops particular pain pathways so that you don't feel anything. So that's why you don't want to see just menthol in a sinus, diffuser, or even in like a cough drop. If we offer some throat drops that include essential oils, but you want more than just menthol in a formula like that. So we're using whole eucalyptus oil. We also have 2 different types of rosemary. Now, depending on where a plant grows, even if it's the same species of plant, where its environment determines its essential oil fraction. Essential oils are secondary metabolites of plants. They're created for very specific reasons, mostly to deter predators. Or to try to fix disease. So a plant's environment is going to determine what compounds are in greater percentages. So we have one chemotype of rosemary that is high in 1,8-cineol, and then another chemotype of rosemary that is higher in camphor, because we want them both, because those two ingredients are going to have some really significant anti-inflammatory properties, but also immune system balancing properties. So we want both chemotypes of rosemary, not just one over the other. So one is found and cultivated in the Mediterranean region of the planet, and then the other you're going to find in more, temperate climates in Asia or even here in North America. So, but we want both types of rosemary in here. And then we have our last three oils in the sinus support travel diffuser are Ravensara, which is also commonly known as the camphor tree. This is anti-inflammatory and great for pain, like sinus headaches or just that sinus pain that you get when you have allergies. Scotch pine, which is obviously pine, great antimicrobial properties, really good also for inflammation. And then the last essential oil we're using is spike lavender. Now, spike lavender is fantastic for headaches. We use this one for that reason over, English lavender, which is a different species. English lavender is considered true lavender. This is spike lavender. So it has a little bit different essential oil composition. It's higher in 1,8-cineol and camphor than true lavender is. So we're using that particular essential oil in the sinus support travel diffuser. Now, both of these travel diffusers, the lung care and the sinus support, you can use them as often as you need to, as much as you need to. They're small tubes. I wish I had one so I could show you. I didn't think that far ahead, but small tubes, you breathe them in, both nostrils, deep breaths, and you're going to get immediate effects. That's the beauty of aromatherapy. The effects are immediate. So in addition to everything else I've talked about and the ingredients that we chose for our products, what else can we do? What else should we be doing? And the first thing is vitamin D. Make sure your multi is providing you with good levels of vitamin D, or take it as a standalone. The absolute bare minimum you should be getting a day is 1,000 IU or 25 micrograms. You can take more than that, but be mindful of your total vitamin D consumption, because this is one of those vitamins that can build up to toxic levels in the body. So just make sure you're not doing, 30,000 IU every day, because that's too much for most people. So vitamin D. Adaptogens for stress. Chronic stress causes net immunosuppression. It makes you more vulnerable to infection, particularly respiratory infections. Chronic stress also causes a net increase in overall body inflammation. So adaptogens are this wonderful class of botanicals that can help our brains and bodies adapt to the stress. So botanicals like rhodiola rosea, Panax ginseng, ashwagandha, eleuthero, those are all wonderful adaptogens that you can take on a daily basis. They're tonics. They're going to work where we need them to work, when we need them to work. Added immune support, particularly coming into the winter months where we're spending more time indoors. I love medicinal mushrooms for this. Reishi mushroom, cordyceps, chaga, maitake, shiitake. Those are all fantastic immune support mushrooms that are immune balancing, not stimulation. We don't want to just push. We want to bring things back into balance. And another addition that I just didn't have room on this slide for, probiotics. Take a probiotic. Take a probiotic that has more than one strain and has high numbers. Probiotics are essential to respiratory health, specifically when we're talking about allergies. Just know that we don't include probiotics in any of our respiratory formulas because we can't. Probiotics, they don't play well with others. They like their space to be their space. And they don't like to share with plants and amino acids and vitamins. They'll die in a formula like that, and then they're worthless. So that's why we don't put them in there. You should take them as a standalone product. So take a probiotic. All right. Thank you for attending today. And now I will address any questions. I'm going to try to flip back to the other screen here to see if anyone has any questions. All right. Okay. We do have some handouts available as PDF that you can download for information on our purity products, our purity promise, and also we have a Breathe pamphlet that talks about different ingredients you can use for different respiratory issues. Let's see. No, sorry, I didn't address breathing exercises in this presentation just because my focus is on herbs. I'm an herbalist, but absolutely breathing exercises are beneficial, deep breathing. Are there any drug contraindications with these products? There are no specific contraindications with lung care. With adult sinus, you do need to be a little mindful about the quercetin and certain drug interactions at the 10 per day dose. So, that's, and those you really want to talk to your pharmacist about that. So just quercetin in general, you want to be mindful about that. Let's see. Why can't I go to my local health food store and buy vitamin C? Well, you can do that. I mean, we encourage people to go to your health food store and buy vitamin C and your products. We do sell in independent health food stores. They're our main retail partner. So we do encourage that. So please do that. Lung care will help support individuals with COPD. However, that's a progressive chronic condition that really doesn't, I hate to say this, but the damage is done. What damage is there is done. But our product is designed to help you breathe in and breathe out. So it's designed to help with both inhaling and exhaling. And COPD is an issue with exhaling. Let's see. How much vitamin C is needed daily? That really depends on the situation. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you guys can see me. I take anywhere between, 1 and 3,000 milligrams per day, like minimum. There are some situations, like if you have a respiratory, issue, you want to take a little more. You can take, up to 5 grams per day. The thing about vitamin C is that it can cause loose stools. So don't take 5,000 milligrams at once if you're not used to taking that much at once. But I would say, at least, in the winter months, at least 1 gram or 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C per day. Let's see. Where can I purchase your products? Our products are available, like I said, in independent health food retailers across the country. Some larger retailers like Sprouts or Fresh Time. For Whole Foods, we're kind of hit or miss. And then, of course, you can order them directly from our website at redremedies.com. And let's see. So can I get your PowerPoint emailed to me? Let me give you my email address, and then let's see what I can do. My email address is slittlefield, just like it sounds, at redremedies.com. Let's see. Do we use organic ingredients? We use them when we can. So like the stinging nettle that we use is organic. It's always organic. We use organic dulse and organic alfalfa, but we use a lot of standardized extracts, and those are not available in an organic format. So we are very mindful about sustainability, our impact on the environment. We work with raw material suppliers that are focused on that. For instance, we use curcumin C3 complex as our turmeric extract, and they work with, thousands of different small family farms in India to grow their turmeric root. So we use organic ingredients when we can. That's not always possible. A lot of the botanicals we use are not as common and simply aren't available in an organic format, but they are wild crafted. A lot of our Chinese botanicals are wild crafted. Let's see. My lung function is at 20%. Will your products help me maintain or improve this level? That's really difficult to determine. One botanical that you could use quite safely and at a larger amount than what we would provide in our lung care product, which you can try. I just don't know how much impact it's going to have with your lung function being so low. But reishi mushroom would be a great thing to add to your daily, supplement routine. How do these supplements interact with immunosuppressants? So the ingredients that we use in lung care or adult sinus would not be contraindicated with different immunosuppressants. Especially in lung care, reishi is used for a lot of different autoimmune issues in Asia, and they actually have studies using other medicinal mushrooms like turkey tail and cordyceps in conjunction with cyclosporine and other, drugs that are used traditionally to suppress the immune system. I would encourage you to take a look at our product called Immune Advanced, because that is specifically formulated for people who require immune system balancing. So let's see. Ooh, I can type my email address. Thank you for whoever said that. I did not think about that. So slittlefield@redremedies.com. All right. That's my email address. Let's see. Email me if you want information from my presentation. Natural Grocers does carry our products. So yes, we are available in Natural Grocers. Are your products completely gluten-free for celiac? Our products are all tested for gluten using the R5 gliadin method, and our limit of detection is 10 parts per million. Most of our products test out at non-detective or less than 5. So the federal standard to make a gluten-free claim is 20 parts per million. But we put our specification at 10 because we know that there are people with celiac that will react to levels as low as 10 parts per million. So our gluten levels have to be lower than that, and they are often much, much lower or not detected. But every finished product batch is tested for gluten. Let's see. Which of your products would you suggest for thick mucus in the throat? I would do, and for thick mucus in the throat, I would do lung care because it'd probably be a blend. It'd probably be lung care, and we have another product called Sinuzyme that I did not talk about today, but that Sinuzyme specifically is for breaking up really thick mucus and phlegm and to help with congestion. So lung care and Sinuzyme. Let's see. Wondering if this would be a good idea considering I'm taking care. Okay, so Ms. McKay, I saw your question. I typed my email address in the chat. So please email me directly after the presentation and I'd be happy to have a discussion with you. I also have appointment slots available after the presentation if you want to sign up for one of those. All right, regular mushrooms, button mushrooms, like white button mushrooms, they're a good source of fiber, so there's benefits there, but they're not like medicinal mushrooms like reishi or cordyceps. Chronic rhinitis, adult sinus support is going to be the best for chronic rhinitis or chronic sinusitis. And if that, you can do the adult sinus first. For people that don't get kind of the full effect that they need, then I recommend for the reishi to get that inflammation under control. Reishi is great for inflammation. All right, it is 11:01, so it is time for my presentation to end. Again, go to our booth, look at our giveaways, and our deal is 25% off of 2. So please, take a look at our booth and things that we have to offer there. And Veronica, I just saw your question. I would, yes, you could do adult sinus and lung care for postnasal drip during the allergy month, particularly if you're seeing that that postnasal drip kind of fall into your lungs. Lung care would be good for that. We do have a children's sinus formula. Veronica had a question. Are there also children's formulas? So we have children's sinus support. Our lung care formula is appropriate for children. And then we also have a throat syrup that children can use. So those are 3 specific formulas that kids can use from Red Remedies. All right. Thank you, everybody, for attending. And as I said, I do have appointment times open if you want to sign up for one of those. So enjoy the rest of the Nurse Fest. And again, thank you for attending our presentation. Bye, everyone.